On today's episode of Homeworthy, we're taking you inside the whimsical Connecticut home of Joanna Buchanan, who showcases some of her treasures picked up while traveling abroad. She has curated a modern space filled with colors, chic graphic patterns, and eclectic home furnishings. Enjoy! You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story. Like and subscribe for more.
Hi Homeworthy, I'm Joanna. Welcome to our home in Connecticut. Come on in. Hi, I'm Joanna Buchanan and I have a business in home. I'm a designer and I design tabletop, home decor, and I especially love doing Christmas ornaments. I'm based in Wilton, Connecticut, which is a town that I had never heard of before we started looking for a house in Connecticut. And my husband and I pulled up actually, and we fell in love with this house. It was completely derelict, overgrown. It's early 18, I think it's 1816 or something it was built. And it's got some newer extensions that were done in the 60s. And what I love about the house is that it's set in really beautiful gardens and it's sort of set on a hill. So from all the windows, you see greenery and you see nature from pretty much everywhere in the house. We did so much to this house, and my husband is a contractor, so we both love the romance of a derelict, rundown place, but we also both, I think, have a very similar vision of what we know things can be. So when we first saw this place, everything was really dark, weird blue carpet everywhere, the walls were navy, it was a very, very dark house. And there was wood, a lot of natural wood. And when we saw it, we knew both immediately what we wanted to do. We wanted it to feel like a garden inside, and we wanted to paint everything white. My husband's a big, let's paint everything white. And I knew I wanted to really make it, I really wanted it to feel colorful and optimistic and modern. I didn't want it to feel a little bit sort of like an old English estate. I didn't want that feel. And so we moved really quickly. My husband's guys came in and, you know, within 2 weeks, pretty much floors were sanded, paint, we ripped things out and changed things around. But fundamentally, the structure of the house stayed the same. Most of what we did was cosmetic. Well, new kitchen, new bathrooms, I guess that, yeah, there was a lot of work. But, and he said to me, the electrician's coming tomorrow, have you picked your lights? And I was like, no! So I was running to open light stores, you know, nearby, trying to find something. So we moved quickly, and that was nice. So I was born in the Philippines. I grew up in Hong Kong. I went to school in England, and then I moved to New York, worked in New York, and also worked a lot in India as well, traveling to India multiple times for months on end. So I think I have such a global view of the world. I feel like all these visual elements have distilled themselves into my brain. And when I'm designing now, I really pull from that. I do very little kind of academic research. I really am looking into myself and reflecting on the things I've seen and pulling all those different influences into my work. So I loved the bling of Hong Kong and the gold in Hong Kong. I love the textiles and the amazing color in India. I love now being in Connecticut and having my garden be a huge influence on my work. And obviously city living both in Hong Kong and New York, that sort of hard-edged glamour is how I imagine those cities. And I always think of that too when I'm designing. So this is our reading room, and it's actually our children that named it this, because when we moved into this house, we weren't sure what this space was going to be used for. And very initially, both children found this the room that they wanted to sit and read in. And so as my husband and I were encouraging every form of reading, we were like, go for it, we're going to call it the reading room. And so the name has kind of stuck. And what I like about it is that there's no TV in here. It's very quiet. It's got beautiful light. And we've got some really cool vintage library carts that we use for our books, which we've completely outgrown now. So we need to find more vintage library carts for that. We've got a brilliant old fireplace here. It doesn't work, so we filled it with kind of plants and color, which I love. And then we painted everything white, the high gloss white when we moved in. It was, as I said, it was really dark. There was a lot of dark wood. And I love just taking these really old distressed beams and painting them high gloss. I think it's so fresh looking. Some of my favorite pieces of furniture are in here. These are vintage chairs that we picked up at flea markets, and then we lacquered them in these this one we lacquered in this fabulous sort of semi-gloss turquoise, and then did the upholstering to match, which I love. And then this one is so cool. I had this piece of vintage Indian fabric from my travels, and I loved the idea of taking a very sort of traditional preppy cane chair and upholstering it in beautiful Indian textiles. And then this is a funny piece. My husband is a big lover of quirky things. It's actually a coffee table made from skateboards. So I love the mix of all of these kind of funny bits in here. This is a cabinet that I had from my apartment in London. I got that at one of the, I think, Portobello Market or something, and I had the glass top cut for it. And I love all these things on top. They're just so, it's an eclectic mix. This I think sums me up probably, because it should have a very traditional kind of Roman bust on the top of this marble pedestal, but I love it with the Buddha on top. So I think that juxtaposition of classical and slightly hippie Indian Eastern vibe, it just, to me, that I just love what this stands for. Nothing too as it should be. We've got beautiful light in this room, as you can see, and the windows look out onto some of the back garden, and this really cool gold glass ball that we bought at a vintage shop in Connecticut that actually belonged to, what's the name of the producer with the red hair? Ron Howard. So Ron Howard used to have an estate in Connecticut, and apparently sold it all off, and we bought his beautiful gold ball. And as we go through the house, you will see I love, love, love round things, and I love balls in all different sort of iterations. So I love, love, love this room, and everyone who comes in here is firstly just like, oh my God, I can't believe you made such a bold choice with the wallpaper, which we'll see, but I think to me it is absolutely the garden inside. And then this was something, the fireplace that we put in when we moved in, there was the weirdest fireplace and mantelpiece that didn't have a shelf. And I was like, oh my God, that's the ultimate accessorizing opportunity, is a shelf above a fireplace. So we bought this fireplace, I think, from somewhere like Home Depot, but then used the English Paints of Europe paint to get this amazing green color. These are all mirrors that I've collected over the years from London, actually mostly London and some New York. And then these are pieces that Brad and I both, we literally always fall in love with the same thing and each other. Oh my God. But we saw these gold pine cones and just loved them. And then this is one of Brad's old pieces. God knows who this guy is, but he's kind of cool up here. And I just love the mixing of the gold and the silver. I love all the different textures on here. And I work really hard to keep the plants alive because it is not easy. This is actually something that Brad found on the street. And I think it's so pretty. Again, the balls, the round things. And I love this. It's a vintage one. We had it rewired, so it's really cool. And then over in this corner, we have, this is actually a garden table that we brought inside. And we collected these funny things on here. These are Hubble telescopes, apparently. And I think we saw them, and I think we got completely scammed because they were so expensive. And we were like, you know what, we didn't really need to buy the Hubble telescope to have in our house, but it's a good story. But we bought them before we had kids, and we were sort of, had money to spend on things like that. This is a cool lamp that I found actually in Brad's garage before we got married. And then I had this brass lampshade made for it. And so many people come in and they're like, oh my God, where can I get a brass lampshade made? And the place that I had it made in the city has gone out of business, so it's not there anymore, which is a shame. And then, more balls over here in this corner. Oh, and this is actually, this is one of my trays from the new collection. And I always like to put things that I've designed into the house to see if they work, if the colors work, because my collection is very much an expression of my personal aesthetic, obviously. And so if things work in the house, then they're probably going to work in the collection. So I love this new ECAT tray, and I love the play of the ECAT with the stripe. So this is another piece that people seem to love when they come into the house. It's Designer Guild fabric on, I think it's a Mitchell Gold Ottoman. And it has really withstood the test of time and children, and a lot of children jumping up and down on it. So I would say to people, don't be scared of using velvet and precious fabrics, because sometimes they really are just completely fine. In this corner, I've got my little collection of balls. So these are some of my glass balls that I've collected over the years. And I also love glass. I just love the way it takes color. I love the translucent aspect of it. And I love playing that against this vintage mirror, again with the circles. This is a piece that I bought in a market, and then I painted it gold and kind of distressed it. And I've had this with me for such a long time. I also love to have lots of textiles around. So we always have Indian quilts, and I've got a lovely cashmere throw there, so that when you're watching TV, there's always tons of, we call them tuckles, to kind of snuggle in with and just get really kind of cozy with. So we bought these lights at a vintage store, and they're a pair, but a kind of mismatched pair. So we have one here and one over there, but we made them a proper pair by having the matching shades made in the black gloss. And then actually, this is another street find. So it was funny, as I was kind of going through the house thinking about what I was going to say, I was like, oh my God, all of our furniture is from the street. But this was another street find that we just painted black. It's one of those vintage magazine kind of racks, but I love it in here because it's kind of light and airy and it doesn't take up too much space. It's funny because I think I read somewhere once upon a time that as you get older, you do have this inherent desire to be closer to nature. And I read it when I was young and thought, oh my God, they're insane. I'm never going to leave the city. But actually, my husband and I were both drawn to having more space. And the beauty of nature, I think you do not get in the city. So the transition was difficult at first because I didn't drive. So I moved here and I was like stuck in the middle of nowhere in a garden, which was beautiful, but still not driving. But we still spend a lot of time in the city. We still have a place there. So we're back and forth quite a lot. And I do find when I come home now, I think it's age, that I am so grateful to just be surrounded by all this green and beauty. And for me, gardening was a hobby when I was growing up when I was in England at my parents' house. And now gardening is one of my massive hobbies as well. So I think that has eased the transition. Okay, so this room I love because there's light coming in from both sides, and it is absolutely, you feel like you're inside outside with all this glass. It's so cool. And we use this, again, a multi-purpose room. We use it as a kind of dumping ground for a lot of the sports equipment and things like that. But it also houses our music area, so that's where the kids do their piano, and we've got guitars and stuff there. And also we use this as a dining room. So actually it was so fun. I got to set up the table for a spring lunch, brunch, whatever. So it was, normally there's more stuff on here, but it was nice to clean it up and really sort of set the scene for a pretty sort of spring brunch. This is an area where I play with a lot of my textiles. So these are all things that I've designed, all the pillows in our collection. And I love to play with them and see what works together, what colors are working together, what fabrications work together. And it's very impactful, and I do change it seasonally. So this is definitely more of a spring vibe. Sometimes I'll do something a little bit darker and moodier, but this is definitely all about fresh greens and gorgeous pinks. So that is my spring color palette. I love the lights in this room. They have this beautiful sort of, they're really oversized. They've got this really cool natural texture. And I love that against the kind of slightly more glamorous mirror that we painted matte white. We painted the piano white. Like, we'll paint anything. Give us anything and we'll paint it white. And then we've just got some cool pieces in here. This is a vintage armoire that holds a whole host of Lego and photo albums and stuff. And then some of the cool lights that I've had. And then my husband is always picking up artwork. And actually, as I was getting the room ready yesterday, I was like, wait a minute, there's a painting up there that I've never seen before. And he had obviously just come in and just chucked it up there and hoped I wouldn't notice, and I didn't. But yeah, so he's always finding paintings and just sort of popping them in the house. But actually some of these paintings are his. Like, this is one of his paintings, which I absolutely love. And this is another one of his. So I love having his paintings around the house as well. So it's just, you know, it's a mix. So I was having a play with some of our new spring collection and trying to decide if I was setting a spring or having a spring brunch, what would I do? So I loved bringing in, or being inspired by really this beautiful color palette of the flowers, the pale, pale pink, and this really lovely lilac. And obviously green is a huge color for me. I love it. And then these are some of our new pieces in the collection. So this is our bow napkin, which is actually kind of fabulous because it has the bow tied onto the back or stitched onto the back. So you tie the bow yourself. And this is our melamine collection, which I was inspired by some of my mum's old china. But we put in our butterfly into the pattern. And then we also, the stripy bee is a big part of the Joanna Buchanan collection. So we also put the stripy bee in there. Oh, and here's the stripy bee as well. So this is the bee embroidered on straw. And then this is one of our beautiful new tablecloths, which is the golden bee. So this is white linen with these beautiful golden bees kind of embroidered all over the tablecloth. So I was feeling very springy and loving this palette of kind of acid pastels. They're not sickly sweet. They've got a little bit more punch to them. This is the aqua with the pink, which I love that color combination. I think it's strong. It's not insipid, but it's not too bold or overwhelming. And then actually this is one of our new capice trays that I've designed. And I love the kind of luminescent look of the capice. And then these are our candlesticks. So you can see, like, I really try to use what I design to make sure that it is useful, it is beautiful, and hopefully will set an amazing table, and you can have lots of fun parties with our things. It's so funny, I did a career day at school this week for my children, so I'm very much in career mode at the moment. I knew I always loved fashion and design, and even as a child I was always, you know, tie-dyeing my mother's sheets and turning them into tablecloths and painting fabric and decorating cardboard boxes for my stuffed animals' houses and stuff like that. So I always had a passion for design. I followed that through at university, and then through an internship got a job in London and worked in London in a corporate environment for 6 years, moved to New York and worked in multiple corporate environments as a designer. And then I lost my job around 8 years ago, and a friend of mine who I had worked with said, oh, come to and, you know, do something for me for One Kings Lane. And I said, oh, you know, not really interested, taking a bit of a break. And she said, no, you have to, and I said, only if it's my own brand, only if it's Christmas ornaments. And she was like, you're out of your mind. You've never, you know, you don't know anything about the Christmas market. But I said, no, that's what I want to do. God knows where that came from. But anyway, and it started with, so One Kings Lane was my very first customer. And then it just grew. You kind of get a bit of an ego about things, and you're like, oh, people like what I'm doing as for myself, not working for someone else. And the business started, as I said, 8-9 years ago, and now we're with amazing clients around the world. We're in Neiman Marcus, we're in Bloomingdale's. We have a very deep relationship with Harrods in the UK, and we've got some fabulous boutiques in Monaco and South America. So it's an amazing, I feel like everything's come full circle because I feel like a child of the world, and now our brand is a global brand. So it's cool. Okay, so this is my studio, which is actually incredibly tidy. And my children, who are always, shaming me for having such a messy studio, would actually agree that it's tidy. Although I know to the naked eye, everyone's probably looking at it going, oh my God, how can anyone work in a space like this? But I have everything here that I need. And I know where everything is, which is actually, does sometimes impress people. But I have all my inspiration. I have ideas on the go. I have samples in here. And I think part of the way I work is having the juxtaposition of things, just kind of lying around. And sometimes as a creative, you'll be like, oh my God, I never thought of putting that with that. And it's only just because you had those two things sitting in your office at the same time together. And it just kind of jogs your memory or jogs your brain in a way that wouldn't have been jogged if you were in a really spotlessly clean place. So anyway, I have all my working things on here. It's kind of divided by sections. I have a lot of my vintage pieces here. You can see these are works in progress. I have tons and tons of reference. I mean, this is just like an Aladdin's cave for someone that loves color and texture. These are, like a bajillion ribbon options from my trips to India. I have all my Pantone color books and all my reference books. I have images of all my photo shoots that we've done, packaging, again, more textiles and just, things that will inspire me that I'll kind of dig through and find. And then this is my, oh my God, please don't look at this. We'll just do a real slow pan across that because I meant to tidy it and I didn't. But I've got some really pretty things over here that I keep meaning to kind of do. I keep meaning to get a cool lampshade for that light. I've got some nice plants in here. I also love dead flowers as well. So you can see the hyacinths are a little bit dead, but I love the smell so much. I refuse to get rid of them until they're completely falling apart. And then I love all the details in here. Like I've got my pens in my pots. This is some of the jewelry that I'm working on with some of the stones that I've got that I'm playing with. And then I always love to have fresh flowers in here as well. So that really gives me a lift. And this light we got for our wedding from ABC Carpet. And to me, it is just one of the most beautiful things in the world. I love, again, the glass. The orange in there is so strong. I love it. And then this table we actually had made for the studio space so that it's got the work countertop and then all this amazing shelving underneath. Because you can see I do need a lot of space for my things. Yeah, I think people come to the house and they always say, I feel like I'm on holiday. And one day, I mean, we've got a really pretty pool, a really old kind of like black pool and a really cool old pool house. And people kind of go out there and they just can't believe that, to your point, they're just an hour from New York. But we work a lot in the garden. We really try and create this feeling of just beauty. We really do. It matters to us. We like living surrounded by beautiful things and having the greenery so close. So I think for me, I love color. That's number one. I love pattern, and I love the play of color and pattern. And I hate things that look too cookie cutter. And I like the feeling of an eclectic, layered home. Brad and I, Brad's my husband, and I both have collected pieces over the years. So things in here mean something to us. And to me, it's about putting things together in a way that works, not buying things to fit the situation. So this is the kitchen in our house. You can see the ceilings get a little bit lower. But again, we painted everything white, white, white. This is one of Brad's paintings, which I love. I think it's such a brilliant spot for it, and I love the drama of the black and the olive. So we put in the kitchen. It's IKEA, so high-low, with the wooden butcher block top and the cool kind of grey cabinets. I love the warmth of that. And then we put in, we originally put in the tiles, and I couldn't figure out what else we wanted to do. The tiles were cool, but it wasn't enough. So then I think about 2 years ago, I said, you know what, let's put a shelf in, because I love the look of a shelf in a kitchen, and then let's just go bonkers with the wallpaper, which is what we did. And when Brad saw it, he was like, there's a key in there. It's like crazy, but I was like, I love it, because it feels again like the garden coming inside. And then on our center island, I just have all this greenery. So you can see it's not really a chef's kitchen. I would say it's a gardener's kitchen. And then I've got, things that I'm trying to keep alive here. I'm not the best houseplant person, but I'm doing my best. And then we've got more books. Again, like we just can't seem to have enough space for all our books. And this is a really cool table that I found on eBay, and then we had the plexiglass cut to size and shape, and then these are just kind of fun IKEA chairs. But I love how transparent this whole corner is. It just feels very light, and I think that's what we needed in this room. And then this is a really cool piece that we got. I can't remember where we got it, but we replaced it's like a vintage filing cabinet, but we replaced the panels with mirrors so that it was reflecting of light. And then we've got our bar in here, which is kind of fun. And then I'm not going to show you what's in the other sections, but it's just like kitchen stuff. And then this is a really lovely piece that Brad made years ago before we met, but we added the glasses kind of later. So and I like to think that that's me and that's him. And I like having these moments of very sort of simple, quiet, textural feeling and color in amongst all the craziness of the colors of the house, So I think having the quiet moments is nice. And I didn't take down, my son just turned 13, and I love these crazy silver balloons. But normally this corner is a little bit quiet because we just have one sort of single lamp. But again, silver and gold, love it together. So anyway, yeah, so that's our kitchen. And then, this is a really beautiful light that I found. I think this was an eBay find as well. I needed to find something that was really shallow because the ceilings are low in here. But I wanted something really sparkly and really dramatic. And I just love that. We actually ended up shipping it from Germany, I think. But it is so perfect in here, those giant kind of gobby glass stones at the top. It's so cool. So my obsession with wallpaper has not stopped and continues everywhere. So we ended up wallpapering up the stairs and in the hallway upstairs this fabulous blue and white stripe, which I just think looks so fresh. And it was so funny, I realized when I just was doing this, I'm wearing the blue and white striped shirt as well, so I feel like I'm blending in. But I love all the different angles of the wallpaper when you start cutting it around the corners, but we literally wallpapered everywhere we could. When I set about designing a space, I always think about the mood that I'm trying to create. Is it moody? Is it dramatic? Is it, cozy? And I think this house is very optimistic feeling, and I think it's the color and the light in here that's so lovely. And when people come in, I love that reaction of like, wow, people don't expect an old house to look like this. So I think I love the happiness about the house. I think it's just got a really good vibe. So this is the bedroom, and it's not very big, but I love it because it just is so light and bright. You can see we don't have any curtains. I love going to sleep at night, seeing the moon outside and the stars, and I love waking up to the natural light and the birds singing. And this is totally, it's my sanctuary. I come up here, I find it so relaxing. I love my bed. I love all the textiles on here. We are not a white bed person, but These are things that I've had made from my travels to India. These are textiles that I picked up over the years. This is a really cool piece because this is a piece of fabric that I found in Japan when I was there, and I had it upholstered onto the lucite base. So I love, again, the juxtaposition of a sort of 60s lucite piece with crazy Japanese vintage OB fabric on there. These glass balls, again, glass balls were given to me or given to us as wedding presents, which I think are so lovely in here. And really the color inspiration for the room came from this gorgeous vase, which is the green, the orange, and the pink. And I just think this color palette is so gorgeous. I love it. And you can see I look out over the garden, so I can see what's going on, and I really feel very connected to our outside space in this room. We have rugs in the reading room and the TV room, but like upstairs, we painted all the floorboards white high gloss, and I love the feel of that, and I love the texture of it. So yes, I think in smaller rooms, like this bedroom, we didn't need a rug. I think I like the sort of feeling of sort of spareness and the extreme amount of white in here. I think is really nice. I have no idea, but I mean, my husband is 6 foot and he can get in and he's okay. I'm 5'6", so it's probably 7 foot, probably, I think. So I'm going to quickly show you my son's room because it's a work in progress, but he's just moved into this room. We're just decorating it for him. And he organized and picked out all the shelves. He decided he wanted these shelves to show his shoes. You can see how neat and tidy he is. Everything's very organized. And he started doing some drawings of shoes. Here are his shoe cleaning kits. Like, it doesn't end with the shoes. So anyway, he is so thrilled to have this space and to have it be his own. And I'm so happy that he's decorating it how he wants it. Home means to me somewhere where I can truly relax, although here we are filming in the home today. So it's a little bit of a workspace too, but I love at the end of the night closing the gate, and I love a fire, and it's really somewhere where you can relax and read a book, be with the family. And I like that there's quiet times and there's busy times too. You know, there's when everyone's around and it's noisy and fun and it's kind of slightly chaotic, that's brilliant. But I also love it when it's really quiet and really still. So I think, you know, home is a space that can embrace all aspects of your life, really.
Thanks for watching. For more Homeworthy content, be sure to like and subscribe.